high-stakes negotiations for a ceasefire in Gaza, which would secure the release of hostages, have resumed without one vital participant, Hamas. The White House says talks are underway today in Qatar with Israeli officials on hand to talk with the mediating countries, but Hamas representatives are staying away for the time being. So let's bring in correspondent Evan Lambert, who is live in Washington with the very latest. Evan, what do we know so far?
Nichole, the White House saying that those talks just got started in Doha a few hours ago, and that leading into these negotiations, there were already some gaps that were narrowed, but not to expect any kind of deal today. Those talks likely to go into tomorrow. The bigger question is, will a ceasefire deal be reached at all 10 months into this war? Even President Biden saying this week that it is hard to remain optimistic. We have also learned from the White House about some of the people who are taking part in these negotiations. They include CIA Director Bill Burns, also Brett McGurk, an expert on the Middle East for the U.S., also the Qatari Prime Minister, representatives from Egypt, and Israel's spy chief. Take a listen to what John Kirby of the National Security Council told reporters just this morning as these talks were getting started.
The resumption of these talks is an important step. And in the lead up to this meeting, we'd already narrowed some gaps. Today, we are focused on the details of the implementation of the agreement. There remains a lot of work to do given the complexity of the agreement. We do not anticipate coming out of these talks today with a deal. In fact, I'd expect the talks to continue into tomorrow.
And even though Hamas is not taking part in these negotiations directly, the discussions are expected to be shared by those mediators with Hamas after the discussions today. Nichole?
All right, so Evan, what are the implications of these talks on the risk of a wider war?
Nichole, that really is the chief concern, that this is already an extremely tense moment in the Middle East. You have Iran vowing retribution for the assassination of a Hamas leader in Tehran at the end of July. And so there is a concern that if there is not a deal reached, then things could really light up and go into a further war. You've already seen just in the last few weeks more U.S. assets move to the Middle East there to protect Israel if there is any kind of response from Iran, but also to deter any kind of attack by Iran or its proxies, namely Hezbollah as one of them as well. There's vowed retribution for the assassination of a Hezbollah leader as well. So that is the concern heading into these talks. There is hope that if there is a ceasefire deal, then that would stabilize things and maybe mean that Iran will not respond to those assassinations. Nichole?
All right, Evan Lambert live for us there in D.C. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.